Hello there, my name's Ray. I'm with Team S.T.E.A.M. Today I'm inside Flash Industrial, but I'm not doing anything industrial. I'm working on a mixer. Okay, this is a KitchenAid mixer. It's a commercial one, and it's only about a year old. I got it about this time last year from my wife. And for her birthday this year, I'm going to go ahead and paint it in the same theme that I did her recipe box in. Same colors, same theme. Made from all fiberglass, nothing else but fiberglass. Even the teapot is all made from fiberglass. This is a cabinet handle, and there's a hinge. But outside of that, and here's just some wire that I fashioned into little handles. But other than that, this is all fiberglass and holds a bunch of recipes with dividers in between that are built right in. And that's what it's going to match. Now the first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to go ahead and get some wax and grease remover on it, get some solvent on it, get it good and clean. Then I'm going to go ahead and mask up everything that needs masked up, take off what needs taken off, and start sorting that sort of thing out. After that, I'll probably just start scratching it and get it all abraded top to bottom. And now I've got all the goodies taken off of it. I've got the cap where you can take it off, although it's unnecessary. I only did it so I could get the rest of the goodies out, like that big knob right there. And also so I could get the cord all the way out and not have to worry about masking it. I'm actually going to leave it on for the rest of the process. It's not hurting anything. Now I'm ready. I've got it all scratched and sanded and ready. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my first color on. So I got the first tone on this yesterday, and it sat all night and cured out. Now I'm going to go ahead and start figuring out exactly how I'm going to lay it out, get some stuff laid out so I can get the second color on it today. I've got my initial measurements and marks on it. Doesn't look like much, but it's enough to let me know what I need to go by. And now I'm going to get started laying out some 1/8 inch vinyl. And this looks wide, but it's a bunch of 1/16 inch. Once I get it all unbundled, I'm going to be using a 1/16 of an inch vinyl and an 1/8 of an inch vinyl. And here I've got some of the initial masking done. We'll go ahead and fill this in. We'll fill these letters in. And then I'll continue. I'll do this on the other side. And then I'll continue to do my other designs. All right, now I've finished up the masking. And I've kept a lot of the same type of design elements as was on the recipe box. The 1/4 inch border, a little flourish. That's on both sides. Now I'm going to take care of the little marks of pen and any other little marks or blemishes that need to be, and go ahead and get the second color on. If you've seen very many of my videos, you've probably seen me spray some average size stuff and some very large stuff, but today I'm going to be spraying something pretty darn small. Want to check it out? I got this shot yesterday, and here it is the next day. I'm going to go ahead and begin to unmask it and get it finished up. All right, so I've got the first half unmasked. And now I'm working on the other half. And now we're going to put this pile of parts back on. Starting with this little guy right here. It's going to go right here. And then we'll probably put the top on and put the band on. Go from there. We'll start by putting these two knobs on. Then we'll put all these screws in. Then we'll put the band on. All right, so we got it done. Got it all unmasked. Got it right here where we're close to where it's always going to sit. And as you can see, it's next to this recipe box. And that is where it's going to sit. But I pulled it out here on the counter so we could have a better look at it. So here it is with its bowl. The bowl, of course, comes right out. Raises and lowers with this. That's painted behind there. And also painted when you raise it. As you can see, this is kind of thematic with the legs. And this is, of course, with the overall design. Now that design's only on this side of this, because it's always going to sit against the wall, as you can see. Turned out pretty good. Nice match set. And that's how they look together. And that's how they're going to sit on the top of this bar for all times, basically. Now this particular decoration here is a couple of years old. I finished it 2 winters ago, right about this time. And what I did was I bought this toolbox from a local car show. A guy had a old friend of mine actually had a booth set up there selling used tools, and this toolbox was among them. And it was, the whole side was smashed in. I mean, it was ready for the junk heap. He didn't see it that way, and he and I kind of think alike that way. And so I picked it up. My wife actually said she wanted it and wanted to do something with it. So we picked it up, and we didn't know where we were going to do it. Sat around for the better part of a year, at least half a year. And then what I decided to do was barely pull the dents out of it. I mean, you can still see the wrinkles in it. I just pulled it out to where it wasn't smashed in anymore. And you see, here's the toolbox as it sits. And what we did was I had my my son-in-law and employee, Kittrick, go ahead and do the lettering for me. I did all the hands-on stuff, but he made the letters for me, and then I just transposed them. This even rolls, as you can see. And just out of wood, and just cut those with a hole saw, and they're made out of plywood. And you can see, look at all the dents in it. We made it just look like an old train car. And then I made an actual train. And then I had the employees and my wife and daughter, who also was working for me and helped with this project. Everybody helped with this project. Put their own names on there in this same style of lettering. So we had enough train cars. These are all built by me. This was a Christmas decoration that I altered to make it look how I wanted it. But I didn't build this from scratch. Yeah, I could have easily, you can see. But I mean, we just had it around. It was right in a box with a bunch of other decorations, and it only needed some minor altercations. So that's what I did. This is what this looks like underneath. And then inside, this is all just spray paint work. Give it kind of a cloud look. And then I had my son-in-law, Kittrick, turn these for me on the lathe. And then some others got painted. Then we painted some landscape. And then the tracks are not painted. They're actually made out of wire. And these are actually made out of wood. These ties. And then we have tunnels painted at either end. And the landscape goes all the way around. That way, the train can sit in there any which way we want, but it's a pretty specific way. You can see the way this is cut at the end. That's so that can sit right in there. And here it is with the train fully installed. And any one of these cars or the engine itself, you can just pick up out of there. They float around free in there. That's why when I go to transport this, I try to be very careful. I mean, this thing will roll, but I really don't want it to. And that's the way it looks like when it's all done. With a full landscape, train coming in one side, on full 3D tracks near some 3D trees, and some that are not. And into a 2D Looney Tunes style tunnel. All done with spray paint. All of it, outside, inside, all of it. You want to see another one? I got another one to show you. Now this one is a couple years old, and it's just made of plywood scraps and a piece of PVC pipe, and then just a piece of wood, a wood scrap. And that's basically it, a couple zip ties. And I'll give you a better look at how that's made. So the first thing you do is you just get a piece of scrap wood, drill a hole in the center that's the same size as your PVC, whatever size you've decided to go with. This is, I think, an 1.5 inch, maybe 2 inch. I don't remember. And it's just something I had laying around. And then you paint it, and then you abrade it first. You get it all scratched, and then you get it painted. I stabbed it in the hole and then glued it in place. Put some glue in the hole, and then put the PVC down in there. And then once that was all dry, while that was drying, I just took some plywood scraps, gathered up all kinds of plywood scraps that I had. And then I come out with my design. I just drew it onto some cardboard, however I wanted it. And then once I had approved it, I cut out that design. And then once it was on top of my scrap boards, I went ahead and traced it off. And then I cut the boards out 2 or 3 at a time. I didn't cut them all out at a time. I didn't have a bandsaw or anything. And you don't want to do a jigsaw with 4 or 5 layers thick, or it'll get off down in there and you'll regret it. So I did 2 or maybe 3 at a time. I don't remember. And then you cut them all out. And once they're cut out, then you can choose how you want to color it and how you wish to do it. And I'll show you what we did. The way we did it, and you can see I've got quite a bit of trunk showing here. That's because I have this one spread out and this one spread out. See how close that is right there? How close that is right there. I just have this one spread out so you can have a better look of how I did it. Then you stack all these plates up together, drill a hole in the bottom of all of them, drill a hole in the top of all of them. When you design them, make sure you have enough to go over and catch inside the pipe. It doesn't have to, but it's handy. That way you can just hang them there. Hang them however you want them, and then with your drilled hole, you just run a zip tie all the way through like I did, and a zip tie right there, and then snug it up. And then you can move these around however you want them. And you can add however many you want them. And I just have this one spread out so you can see better. But any kind of paint, latex paint, oil-based, water-based, it doesn't really matter. Thin it down with whatever it thins with. If it's a solvent, thin it down with solvent. If it's water, thin it down with water. If it's mineral spirits, thin it down with mineral spirits. Get it water thin. And it will work and act as stain. Almost every time. On a project like this isn't some high dollar piece of furniture you're trying to sell to somebody, so you don't have to concern yourself with those sorts of things. Just thin down your product enough to where it looks like stain, and it will act like stain almost every time. And then I just drew on some circles with permanent marker. And then we just colored in those circles. And in the spots where we colored over the lines, I just redrew the circles. And then we used paint, regular paint for these, and then thinned paint for this, because I wanted that kind of washed out look. And then we used regular paint for all of these because I needed them to be a little more solid. But I only had a few base colors. You can see there's 4 colors here or something. And a very simple design. You can go, the sky's the limit with this. You can frost these ends more than I did. Make them look more like a frosted over tree. There's a lot of things you can do with this design. Now here, I just cut out, I've traced out the basic star design, half of it, and then flipped it over, traced it out again so it would be symmetrical, cut out one half, cut out 1/2. Then I glued the 2 halves on there, and left that point long so it could just poke down in there. You can remove this if you want. You can remove these just by cutting that zip tie. And then you can pull the pipe out if you didn't glue it in there, just so you could ship it or pack it when you go to move or something like that. So it's very collapsible. It's a very, very solid design for that. Something you could make for your loved one and ship clear across the country with minimal effort. So something to keep in mind. All right, now here's a sleigh that I made out of some used plywood scraps, probably 3 years ago. And I'll show you what we got here. Now this one, I originally primed in dark gray. And then same with down here, I primed these in red oxide. That way, when I sanded through and distressed it, it would look like there was the possibility of rust behind it, is what I was going for. And then I did the same thing here, only I primed it in gray, so when I distressed it and sanded through it, it would take on an older look. And then I painted gold over the red so I could distress the gold and it would start showing through to the red. So it shows that at one time this was a very nice unit, but it's got a lot of miles on it, is what I was going for. And this is just some like burlap we had laying around. This is a little miniature Christmas tree that quit working, a pre-lit one. I didn't bother removing all the bulbs. You can't really see them from a distance back. We've got it all bound in twine to make it look like it's headed home on the sleigh. Made this out of plywood and just painted it gold. That's how the underside looks, how it's braced. The gifts are just little boxes that we wrapped in brown paper and twine. My daughter Ash made this, sewed that up for me out of Naga hide. And then you can make as many of these gifts as you want and pile them up however you want. You can put them all in here or how, you know, because they all come free. We just have this stuff full of fluff. And that's how the underside of the front looks. And it's just held together with staples. See the staple holes? Into that 2x4 that you saw underneath there, or 2x2. Staple holes, staple holes. When you get back, you can't tell. And it doesn't have a bunch of boards on the outside as braces. I mean, you can't let the kids go jumping around in it, but this thing's lasted years and years and it's just as strong as the day I built it. If you build it as a decoration and treat it like a decoration, it'll last forever. When I say staples, I mean staples from a pneumatic or an air-powered staple gun. Just one of the cheapest ones you could get, one of the smaller ones you could get, short little staples. I mean, it was as economical as I could make it, and it works great for hobbyists and when you're building lightweight stuff like this. They work great, and that's all we used. And now this one here is one I made just last winter, I think. And I made it out of solid fiberglass. It's not solid, I mean, it's hollow, but I mean, this is all fiberglass. Except for these axles, which are made out of curtain rods and do run all the way across. And these wheels came off of a cart, and I replaced the wheels that were on the cart almost immediately because they weren't the right size. But I did keep the wheels, so they've got no miles on them, and I wasn't gonna throw them away. And so this is what I've used them for. I just drilled holes through the end of the curtain rod, put a key in there to hold everything on, and this thing does roll. I'll show you. Rolls easily, actually. That's why every time I set it somewhere, I always make darn sure that I have wheel chocks under it so it doesn't roll off the end of a bench or something like that. See, that's what keeps it from rolling off. But these were cast from molds made from a Frisbee. I used the Frisbee as a mold and then built the fiberglass on top of it and then separated them out. Same here. And then built running boards. These were cardboard boxes that I put the shape that I needed to on them and then covered them completely in fiberglass. This is about 1/4 inch of fiberglass built over the top of cardboard boxes. And then I put stainless off of semis, like I keep visors and stuff off of semis that they don't want them anymore. And then I just make them into stuff, and this is where that comes from. These are screwed up underneath with their own brackets that I've also built out of stainless. The presents are just empty boxes that I just wrapped in, you know, brown paper, just to kind of give it the look. This is made out of regular stainless off of a truck. I think it's another visor, in fact. Same with this bumper. And then the front here, and this is all spray paint, just standard spray paint that you can get from any store. I use Rust-Oleum. I stay away from Krylon. And the idea behind this truck is that it's kind of like FedEx or UPS or any of these delivery services, only this is Santa's delivery service, you know, and the drivers have to answer to him, and particularly Mrs. Claus, if you want the show run right, you know. And so they go out with a network of these things, and that's why there's no tail lights, because there's no need. Nothing is going to be able to follow them. They go blindingly fast to be able to do that job in one night. I mean, come on. No headlights for the same reason. However, they do have the power of a nice bright star. Each one of them has their own star to illuminate the entire night out in front of them. This is just regular silver spray paint. All this is just regular spray paint that you know you can buy anywhere. I came up with the door logo as something that's original and kind of fits the theme here. And this is what Santa's crew does all their rural deliveries with. Not everybody has a chimney, and not everybody's that easy to reach. So he's got a network of these guys. He gets out there and gets that stuff done. So there you have it. There's some Christmas decorations that the crew and I and the family and I have built throughout the years. And there's the birthday present that I just did for my wife day before yesterday. So if you like what you see in this video, go ahead and hit the like button. That always helps. And subscribe if you haven't already, because we've always got something going on. See you guys around.